Everyone, welcome back to the Board Gaming Doctor. My name is Phil, and today we are playing Adiwa, or Atiwa, or Atiwa. I believe the correct pronunciation is Adiwa, but in any case, we are coming back to this game. I played this last year solo on Tabletop Simulator. I forgot what kind of score I got, but I am back at it again. The solo goal for this game is to play through 7 rounds and get 120 points is the goal, and I think it's a very tough goal to reach according to folks on Board Game Geek. I do have the forum open from the Geek that talks about how people have been hitting 120. It hasn't happened very often. I think only one person has been able to do it. But they said that it's a very tough accomplishment to make, and so we're going to try to get as close as possible to that, and try to follow some of the advice that is found on Board Game Geek in order to do so. I'm not necessarily going to go for any of the solo challenges. The challenges are indeed tough, as pictured here. Oops. And so we're not going to necessarily focus on those. The point threshold is lower for a lot of these, but if anything, we could maybe try to get to prosperity, which is finish the game with at least 30 gold and at least 120 points. I'd be happy for the 120 points either way. So let's get started. We start with our red workers. Take 3 actions, reset the board, do the maintenance phase, do yellow workers next, and continue on. To go over some of the buildings that we have up here, or not buildings, but the location cards, terrains that we can build from. We have the abandoned house, which allows us some extra spaces for bats and trees, but not a family in this house in the middle. We have the cave, which has a lot of spaces for bats. The thicket, which gives us some room for wild animals and trees, and then the river delta, which it looks like a pretty generic looking terrain to go for. We start the game with 1 wild animal and a family member, and with that, let's get going. Trying to hit uh, the goals, I should say, for breeding, the breeding goals, right? We have bats, have at least 1 bat, 1 wild animal, and 2 families. So we already have 2 of the 3. It's not going to be very hard to do so. If we do pick up another family, we will have to figure out 3 food in order to feed our family. Wild animals will count for something, but we do want to get a few wild animals out in order to start the cascade of benefits, gaining some trees and fruits, and therefore some opportunities to house bats and feed our family, etc. So some of the strategy that this particular individual on Board Game Geek says to focus on in the first 2 rounds is to get as many animals as possible, filling the family bonus as well, or the breeding goal as well, is also pretty good. But hitting every breeding cycle for animals seems to be a very important foundation for this game. So it's pretty important in this game to know one rule that I often forget is once you place a token onto a card, it has to stay there until it gets removed by one effect or the other, usually by pollution. And so we need to be careful about where we place certain cards and tokens in order to make sure we have enough space for everything. So looking at some of the options here, I really do like I like the thicket terrain. I like the fact that it gives us a wild animal. and has space for quite a few of those animals as well. Tree spaces are pretty good here as well. So I like that action. I like this very first action that is open that allows us to gain our second family and flip one family over, and perhaps even this action right here that will get us another wild animal and the additional flip in order to make sure we reach our goal as well as not risk any pollution. We will have room for a third family as well on our village tile. So that might be a good option to go with. The only thing is that we won't get a bat in this opening round in order to get that second bat. And perhaps that's okay. Let's go ahead and give this a shot and trust a little bit in the, what the forums are saying. So let's go to the thicket. We will get the thicket. Let's go ahead and place it here. I'm trying to think. Um, maybe we want to place it over here. Seems like a pretty good um, tile to not get pollution on. And let's gain our next token. The rule as well with these blank spaces is that you can fill it up with a blank space as long as you have a token of a similar type already on the board. And so those blank spaces will most likely be taken up by a token that is already on there that has a pre-printed availability on it as well. We just can't put anything willy-nilly there. So so I like this action. Let's go ahead and get our, let's actually, let me think about this because I think it's important to get our second family. I know I need to have 3 food in order to do so. Every wild animal is worth 2 food. And so if we continue to get another wild animal, I think we should be okay because so if we do get out our third wild animal here, we will have an opportunity to get a tree. A tree gets us a fruit. A fruit gets us a bat. Oh, that's interesting. If we do get a bat from this source rather than getting it from the board, we will have gotten a bat necessary the um, uh, for the breeding, and so we won't need to worry about that. So I like that plan. So let's go here. Let's get our next family out. We'll just go ahead and flip that family over to allow a space for a bat. And then we're going to come here. We're going to grab our third wild animal, place it there, and grab a tree. And then flip over that next family member, and we're good. So after taking all of those actions, we do our maintenance phase. So for every trained family, we gain a gold. Oops. So we get 2 gold. Then we don't need to worry about pollution because we don't have untrained families. We look at our board here. We do our income for wild animals, etc. We gain 1 extra tree for our wild animal. We gain a fruit. And we gain a bat. Next, we feed. So we need to feed 3. So every wild animal is 2. A fruit is worth 1. Let's go ahead and give up a wild animal and a fruit to meet our feeding goals. Now we breed. So we have met the requirement for a new family member. We have two. We have one bat, so we get another bat. And then we have at least one wild animal, so we get that wild animal back. Fantastic. Keep it there. We're going to refill the terrain tile. Ooh, the farm. So it gives us a lot of space for, what are they called? Goats, which offer some passive food abilities as well. It is -1 point though, so that's interesting. And then we slide over our action spot. This one stays on that spot there, revealing the next round and allowing us to place yellow workers, leaving these red spaces blocked. Going back to the strategy here, focusing on animals is very important in this round. Getting our fourth wild animal out is going to be great, as well as a goat. But focusing on those to support our feeding needs, I think, will be very important, as well as increasing our ability to put out new tree and fruit tiles. In addition to that, the goal, or at least the threshold that was reached by this individual, was 9 families. I've seen a lot of these posts on Board Game Geek talk about having about 8 or 9 families. So not even getting all the way to the end of this track. So let's focus on that and making sure that we don't have any pollution. So one of our turns probably will be to go here in order to flip over that family member and not have it be contributing towards pollution. They're not going to breed this turn, and I think that's okay. This is going to be more of a focus on families. Oh, actually, no, I didn't, because that River Delta card shouldn't have been drawn. We should have only had 3 cards to begin with, not 4. The multiplayer side has this 4th option available, but not in the 2-player version. So, yep, so we're just going to fix that real quick. I do like the farm for the animal ability, but the cave and abandoned house don't really serve the purposes that we want, except for having a lot of bats, which might be something to pursue. The goal as well for terrain cards, this individual who scored really high mentioned having 4 of the terrain tiles is really good to have, because that way, once we get more families, we can train a lot of them and meet this threshold for this action over here. So we probably would want to go for one of those actions, and maybe because of what we have here, we do pursue some bats, as well as making sure we have enough of the wild animals and perhaps even goats as well. We just need 1 goat out on the board. So I think regardless of anything, we do want to train that last family. So let's go ahead and flip that family member over and grab a new tree. Put that there. So I'm going to trust in the fact that focusing on bats, despite the breeding requirement here, is not going to be the most beneficial. So the 3 goals that I want to get animals, I want to get goats, I also want to get terrain tiles and or like start with like farmsteads and work my way up to other buildings. I think in that case, for the sake of getting those animals, let's go all into animals. off the bat, let's see what happens. I think I'm going to have to go for some of the terrain tiles later. And let's go. The spaces that I really like are, the two wild animals here, as well as spending a gold to get two goats. That would really help out with the feeding situation for sure. And so, and I think I would have space for everything because I could fit two goats here, or two animals and two goats here. So let's do that. Let's see what happens. Oh, I should keep in mind for like trees. So if I take off two more goats, I would still only plant one tree, and I do have space for that. And then for fruit, it should be fine. So I won't get a bad action this turn and this round, but I think that's going to be okay. Let's just see where this takes us this round. So we'll put a goat there and a goat there. Definitely don't want to get any pollution. Let's go ahead and spend a goat or a gold to get two goats. And we'll place those two goats right here. Perfect. Okay. All right. So we are ready for income. We now get 3 gold. Maybe that was a good move because we can afford a settlement now, which is worth more points. So we've done that. Let's get a no pollution. Let's get our wild animals going. So we do collect 1 tree. Put that here. We'll collect 2 fruit and 1 bat. Perfect. Return fruit bats. We didn't do that. Let's do our feeding. So we have a requirement of 5. We have 2 showing with the goats, so we just need 3. We could get rid of a goat, and I think that's what we'll do, because goats cost or are worth 3 food. So we fed ourselves, and we still meet the requirements for breeding. I didn't think about that. We don't have space for. Oops. Okay. So I think I'm going to backtrack a little bit to allow, and this is a solo mode, and so I'm not going to hopefully do this very often, but I think there was another space that I was debating on, and I think this is going to be better because we're going to have space to be able to utilize that. I think because so instead of getting 2 wild animals, the opportunity to get 1 wild animal and 1 bat and a gold, that would get us our 3rd bat, and we could do, yeah, let's do that. So let's go here. So we'll end up with another gold. So we're at 5. And so we gain that bat and the 4th animal that we need. We can do a bat action, which allows us to put a fruit on a tree. So that doesn't mess with the our, what we're trying to accomplish. We're still 1 bat short of making it so that they breed, but we now have room for the animals that we ate and used, and have enough room for there to be breeding. So fix that. I think we're good. So let's move on to round 3. So this round, the breeding goal is to have 3 families, which we do have. We will need space for an extra family member, so we need to keep that in mind. 6 bats and 2 wild animals. So we definitely have room for those. We would need some additional room for a wild animal. So I think going for a settlement is going to be prudent in this case because we would be able to use the settlement to allow for goats and wild animals to be bred and held. More so for the wild animals in this case, since we're out of room. So we want to focus on this. I think we need to start to focus on getting some more of these terrain cards as well. Um, so right now the most, I guess the abandoned house is the most interesting card that we have out there. We also have the cave. We could start to get some bats going. So we definitely want, I think we do want to go here to the settlement. So let's go ahead and get a settlement. We'll spend 4 gold and 3 trees. Oh, we do have to give up some fruit if we do lose our trees. Well, is there a way to utilize fruit now? Not really. I guess the only other way would be to plant some additional trees and then spend them for the settlement. We can do kind of that with the abandoned house, but that allows us to put a fruit on it immediately, and we also have bad actions that will allow that to happen as well. So maybe we just allow it to happen where we could top deck actually. I forgot we could top deck twice here. That is an option too. We don't have to go there. And that way we don't have to get rid of. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit. So we could top deck, and if I do that, I'm definitely not going back. Yeah, so we have everything else. I think that might be the right move because that'll net us some additional trees. We get some from income that don't have fruit on them, and that'll be easier to give up for a settlement. And actually, we will have enough to get a village. So that might be worth even more points and be better for us in the long run. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and let's top deck this. So we got a farming camp. Okay. That is minus 5 points. Oh no, that's not good. I think they have to be adjacent, so let's put that there. Oh man, that is not good for our final score. We'll see. Ugh. All right, so we get a tree. Oh, and that was also not great for top decking because we don't have room for a tree. So that really backfired. We don't have a blank space for anything. So we'll just go ahead and take our bad action, I suppose, and put a fruit on this tree. Should we risk it again? We might as well at this point for science. Okay, the reserve. Minus 2 points for this one. But this one gives us 2 icons, 2 of the, I forget what those icons are called. But anyway, nature icons or terrain icons, we need 4 of those to activate this at the very least. And so that is pretty fortunate. We do have room for a tree here. So we did lose the opportunity for 1 tree. And that is unfortunate. So what do we do from here? I still think we wait to grab the village and invest in that one. It'll give us more room for family members and more points along the way. In order to facilitate that, I wonder if we just focus on getting some more trees out. Because we're good with animals. We're not really focusing on bats right now. We have plenty of room for bats, which is fantastic. If we place 2 trees out right now, we do miss out on 1 tree that will be available to us during the income phase. And so it might be better to go elsewhere, maybe grab 1 tree and then something else like the abandoned house, maybe that gets us a tree and some more tree spots too, actually. So that might be pretty good, as a matter of fact. And then we're set up to take one of these powerful actions that will get us a lot of gold and allow us to flip families over as well. If we have, oh, and if we have 4 terrain tiles, we get gold. Yeah, so this essentially says, like this one, if we have 4, we could gain 4 gold, or however many of the icons we have, and if we have 4 terrain tiles, then we get to flip, and vice versa there. So, I actually don't mind the thought of going to the abandoned house, because that would give us some abilities to work around here with. As far as feeding families go, I think we'll be okay because we can get rid of some fruit. And maybe a wild animal as well. So I think we're going to be okay on food. So yeah, let's do it. Let's go to the abandoned house here. Put it right here. And that allows us to grab a tree and a fruit. Put that there. Great. Okay. So interesting situation we've got here. So we still get 3 gold. So we're at 8. So we definitely have enough for a village. And then let's go ahead and collect. We gain another tree. Put that there. 3 fruit. We have all the fruit that we need. Almost, actually. We don't. Whoops, we don't have another tree for enough fruit. Interesting. I didn't think about that. Yeah, definitely not the, I guess, the best play here. But we're having fun, right? So let's get our 2 bats for income. Missed out on that additional bat. And if we had that additional bat, we would be at the 6th in order to get an extra bat there. So bats come back. Then we do our feed. So once again, 5 minus 2 is 3. We need to feed 3. Let's just go ahead and take fruit off. Keep the animals there for breeding's sake, because I think we're going to need them up. Yeah, in round 4, we'll need 3 goats. Okay, so we've done that. Now we breed. We have 3 families. We get an extra 1. We'll put them right here. We don't have 6 bats. Wait. No, we have 6 bats. Oh. I guess it's okay. That's fine. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we get an extra bat. Sweet. And then we have 2 wild animals. So we get another one here as well. Right here. Perfect. Okay. So that could have been a lot worse. Let's go ahead and flip over this plateau. It's a pretty nice looking card there. Moving on to round 4. That stays there. We bring back our red workers. Okay, so I mean, is now a good time to invest in the village? Perhaps. Um, we can take, okay, so we can take two bad actions, placing, which allows us to place two fruit on trees. We're going to have to spend 5 trees in order to place a village. And at this rate, that is looking like something that we might need to do. We also need to flip over a family member. So I think we can come here to flip over that one family member that we have. So we can go here and gain a lot of gold. I mean, if we go there first, we'll have enough gold to build a town. We also can't forget about having enough food to maintain our needs. We need to feed first, and so it might be prudent to grab some more goats. We need one more goat in order to meet that requirement anyway, and doing so will give us an extra food, requiring us only to need 4. So let's go ahead and do this then. Let's do it. We're going to come here. We're going to grab a gold for each of the icons we have, the um, nature icons. So we have 4. So we get 4 gold. Wait, that doesn't add up. Yeah. So yeah, 4 gold. And then we get to flip over one family member. Good. Let's not do the bat action. Let's go ahead and invest in. Oh, what if we do this first, though? Because we get rid of all of our trees if we do that action first, thus not allowing us to place a fruit on a bat action. Of course, we don't have to take a bat action, but if there's something that we can do in order to gain, I guess I do. I mean, I really want to get more goats. And so maybe, well, yeah, maybe coming out to this one right here would at least give us a tree to take a bat action with. We have to start rebuilding our tree supply. Let's try that. Let's go ahead and come here. Let's take off these, whoops, these animals. Oh, do I even have room for a goat? I don't. Oh my gosh. I'm in shambles here. All right. So, not there. Let's get our town. Spend 10 gold. Let's just give up our 7 trees. It's fine, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess that's what the game's all about, I suppose. Okay, so we spent 7, played the town there. Can't do the bad action because there's not a tree available. But those are, those are worth a lot of points, so that's good. So now we can try to get another goat, which I think is the right thing to do. So yeah, let's go and take this action now. We'll grab a tree here, I suppose. Grab that goat. Okay. So those are the actions there. Let's do income. 4 families that are trained. 4 gold. Plant 2 trees. Just put them over there. 2 fruit. 1 bat. And that's that. Then we feed. So 7 minus 3 is 4. I mean, we can give up a goat and a fruit. Or we can do like a wild animal and a fruit. We get to breed 2 more times with wild animals. So I might want to try to keep those around as much as possible. I will be able to breed 3 more times with goats after, or sorry, 2 more times after this round. So I might not want to take the goat. I think it'll be easier to grab a wild animal on the board. So let's go ahead and eat our fruit. 1, 2, 3. Or let's do, yeah, 1, 2, and then we'll do a wild animal. And we're set. So that allows us to grab another family member or family household, the next goat, which will have to go here. And then we don't have 10 bats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, perfect. All right, moving on. 7 families, 2 animals, 2 goats. So, okay. So using our cheat sheet here, looking ahead, we only have 3 more rounds. We get to breed wild animals twice more and goats twice more. So we need to take an action in order to get at least 1 more of those before we continue on. It'd be nice to get some trees as well. If we want to end up at around 9 family members and really focus on maxing out the tracks for fruit, goats, etc., and bats, having enough room for bats. Let's see. So we have 5 families, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have enough room for everything that we need there. We're not going to be able to breed any more bats. So some options that we have this one right here, which gives us that 1 wild animal that we need, as well as flipping over that family member. I think we do want to try to get to 7. So that's actually a really good thing. So if we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we got 2 more family members and flip them over here, then that would set us perfectly up for enough breeding or family breedings to be set for the next couple of rounds. Gives us some gold as well. So let's try to do that. And I forgot to claim my yellow workers for this next round. So we could come back to this spot here and grab a family member in a tree, a family member and a goat here, and then start flipping them over. So let's do that. So family, oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I get 1 more bat, then I can do 3 bat actions, which will get me some fruit. If I can get a tree as well, yeah, so like this one, so I think I definitely want to take this because I'm also thinking about my food choices here, because I definitely need to feed a lot this upcoming round. Let's go ahead and do a bat action. So we'll place a fruit there. Definitely want to do that. I could spend 2 gold for 2 family members. I could have done that. But maybe the gold is better spent on these locations here for points. Yeah, I say for feeding purposes, it's probably great to come here and get that extra goat. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 families. We're good there. And we have enough for the breeding options that are upcoming. Except now we don't have room for, oh, we don't have room for another goat. We might have to eat a goat in order to fulfill the requirements. We do the subtraction first before we start eating goats, and so I think this is still okay, and we can eat a goat in order to make sure we get to the food amount that is required. Let's go ahead and do another bad action for free. All right, let's flip these families over. That'll get us some gold too. So we can flip all of these families. That just gets us a lot of gold, and we get a gold for doing that as well. No bat action, so let's go ahead and feed. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trained family members. No pollution. We collect a tree. We collect 3 fruit. That's good. Once again, we don't have enough room for, we don't have enough trees for fruit. 2 bats though. We have plenty of room for bats. And then 5 minus 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So we need to come up with 8. Let's go ahead and feed 1 goat. So now we have 5, and we have 5 fruit. I feel like fruit is the easiest thing to kind of get out there if we have a lot of trees. Okay, so we're good with food. So then we breed, so we bring that goat back into the fold. We grab another wild animal and another family member. There you go. Okay, move it on. Bats come home. We'll keep them in our trained family houses. All right, so now it's just kind of, I think we're just focused on maxing things out. So we definitely want to utilize the gold that we have gained for points. We could probably get another village. That spends a lot of trees though. And it's like, we're not really getting a ton of trees back. We're getting 2. That's the max amount of trees we can get as well. So we definitely want to get 1 more goat, 1 more wild animal. And then I think we're set up for success there. We can do 3 bad actions finally, which is nice. If there's a way to get a lot of fruit out on the board, that would be nice. I think we save our gold. We'll probably build another town. We could probably build like a farmstead even for some additional goat space. Actually, that might. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go here for sure. Let's go ahead and buy a farmstead. Yeah. Put that there. So now we have room for goats. And let's get a goat and flip over that family member here. Put that there. We need to come up with 9. Oh, and of course I forgot to take my bad actions here. So that's 2 fruit out on trees. And for the last action, I mean, we could put out a few more trees. We're gonna need to. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Gets us another gold as well if we come over to this spot right here. Yep. Yeah, let's do it. Do that. Gain a gold. Fly these bats over here. They do their thing. Get a fruit. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Gold. And we don't need to worry about pollution. We'll get 2 trees. 4 fruit. Okay, cool. We do have room for all that. That's nice. 2 bats. And that's that. Bats will fly home after we feed. So we owe 9 food. So if we get rid of all the fruit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we're gonna get rid of a wild animal for 2. Because we can easily breed it back, and we could take the spot here to get the last 2. We have enough for the last goat, and we have 6 family members, so there we go. So we get that last one there too. All right, perfect. Bats come home. Just for the sake of time, I know I have space for all of these bats, so I'm just gonna, I'll put them back in the right spots later. There we go. Okay. So last round, real quick. Take our red workers. Let's come down to the town. Spend 10 gold, 7 trees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like so. Bat action. That fruit. I guess we can come here for 4 gold. And we get to flip over that. Bat action. Do we have a tree? Nope. Whoops, we don't. And then let's just go ahead and max out our goats here, or wild animals rather. All right, so my camera actually died as I was doing this. I was using my phone as my camera, and so I just finished out the maintenance phase and ended up scoring 97 points on this, and so definitely off of the mark there, but not I think this is my best effort yet. I really did think that it was very important early on to not only think about the breeding requirements throughout each round, but to also forego the bats and only focus on the the animals. I think what really helped me this game was to be able to have those animals, wild ones and goats, be available for food. I didn't really have to struggle for food this game. I also focused heavily on flipping over my trained families, so no pollution was gained, so I didn't lose anything. I also got a lot of gold from that, and I think that really supplied a lot of points to my final score. I think I got unlucky with the farming camp and reserve. That's 7 points that I might have gotten back plus an additional few, and so at least that would have put me at like 104 if and so that would have broken at least the solo mode options for the most part. A lot of the requirements for those solo challenges require a score of 100 except for a few. So I really I thought for the most part, I would say like maybe 80 to 90% of the time I was as efficient as possible. I know that there were a few times where I was like missing a bat for a breed or I was missing a tree for a fruit or like for the bat action as well. So I think I can improve my experience with making sure I make some of the right worker placement moves and plan ahead knowing that I do need room for such and such as I am looking ahead. But I think the core of the strategy is here to achieving a score of 120. I think, yeah, it would be nice to have had some terrain cards that were of benefit. I perhaps could have invested into some more of like the settlements, right? Settlements, villages, etc., farmsteads. I look at the board and see like if I spend 4 gold for a settlement, that's an extra 2 points essentially. That's translating, and I'm still getting a lot of gold back for my trained families, and so my gold score could have perhaps converted into a few more points if I had built out some settlements and villages. So that could have gained a few extra points there. I think ending the game as well, instead of building a town in the last round, I think planning to build a town a little bit earlier would allow for extra growth of the trees. I think that's the other biggest area. I could have hopefully gotten like 5 points out of that as well, putting me perhaps in the low 110s or so. And that could have gained me a lot of points there. So, yeah, so so yeah, I think an excellent effort, and one I think this is the best effort that I've had. I have to look back at my old scores, but I'm quite happy with this, and it's so fast and easy to play that I can easily set this up again and try again, and I love that. So, yeah, so there you go. That's my solo play of Adiwa this year, I suppose. Hopefully, I pull it out again sooner. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.